Welcome back to the other side of 45 podcasts. I'm your host, Randy Black. This podcast is about taking chances, owning my mistakes, addressing generational and family trauma, completing my 50/50s by 50 list, and my life as a single empty nester. My last episode, I mentioned that I didn't grow up hearing I love you. No big deal. But we also were not the sit around the table and eat together type of family. From a very young age, we're talking about before I was 8, I remember having family gatherings, but it was very different than what I saw on TV. On TV, the entire family is sat at the table, food in the center, people asking to pass the peas, our main dish, or they have a main dish, then dessert. That was not my experience. You will learn from this podcast that I absolutely loved and love my grandparents. My grandfather passed away in 2017, but we are truly fortunate to have my grandmother with us. She's amazing. I spoke with her a few days ago to put in my holiday soul food order. Now, I told her that I was no longer eating meat and I need her to make me my own dishes. Okay? I explained. I don't want my crumb-snatching cousins, aunts, or family-adjacent individuals to even put a spoon in my food. She laughed and asked me what I wanted, and I told her 3 items: dressing, field peas, and collard greens. Now, I also asked for lemonade because she makes the best homemade lemonade, but I know for a fact that my crumb-snatching family is not going to let me have any lemonade, so that's okay. I can make my own lemonade. I mean, hers is better, but whatever. I'll make my own lemonade. Now, look, I can't guarantee that she will not use meat to season my food. It's just too much work to ensure that she doesn't, which is why I have an episode entitled I'm Not Vegan. If you haven't heard that episode, go back a couple episodes and listen to I'm Not Vegan. But basically, I eat plant-based, or I also like to call it cruelty-free, especially when I'm around my family because they hate that, my girls in particular. But so I basically eat plant-based or cruelty-free when I'm in social settings. I don't insist that everything is cruelty-free if that's not feasible. So if they can't do it, I don't insist. Nor do I have many tantrums if others eat cruelty foods. I don't believe meat is murder. I believe you eat what you want, even when you know the risk. Live and let live. I spent much too much time in my life having other people dictate how I live, and I refuse to live that way again. Nor am I going to do that to others. So my grandma knows how I want my food prepared, but I will not be upset if she seasons my collard greens with meat and just remove it, thinking that's what I meant. Now, however, I will legitimately be upset if I find a spoonful missing from my food. So my daughters will be going back home to South Carolina to visit family and eat my grandma's delicious feast. I didn't take off work, but I also am too new in my plant-based journey to attend this holiday feast without indulging in some ham, macaroni, cheese, or fried chicken. I'm just too new. I don't know if I could do that. So I take myself out of harm's way. Now, I do hope to see Grandma before the end of the year. Maybe during Christmas. I don't know. But I do want to see her again. The last time I saw Grandma was in June for my cousin's wedding. Now, while my children will delight in spending time with relatives, it will not be around an actual dinner table. My grandmother cooks. The phone rings throughout the day. Relatives are checking in to see what she cooked and if it's ready. There'll be visits from the relatives looking for paper plates and foil to fill their plates and be on their way. And they will stop to visit grandma and whoever is visiting, but most will only stay a few minutes and head out. If there are out-of-town relatives visiting, they will stay longer to catch up. Sometimes someone will bring out the pictures and will shift through the boxes of pictures grandma has collected over the years. And this is how I remember family gatherings since I was a child. When we were children, the cousins and I would play games, while the adults visited. Sometimes the adults would load their plates and leave us at grandma's. Not much has changed. As a child, I looked forward to these family gatherings because I could see my cousins. I didn't care that there was no dinner time where we all eat together. I just liked seeing my cousins. As I got older, I transitioned and became one of the visits with the grandparents, grab a plate and go. Despite the unique, we'll use the word unique, way we celebrated, I did enjoy it. I liked hearing my family laugh and catch up with one another. It was always an honor to yelling at the kids to stop running or to be quiet. I mentioned family gatherings, but this was also the case with regular dinners throughout my childhood. Sometimes my siblings and I would eat at the same time because we were waiting for dinner to be ready. So it was ready, we sat down and ate. But the idea of a dinner time and the expectation that we will all eat together was not the norm for us. When I was raising my family, I was repeating that norm. I was a single parent rushing through traffic to pick the girls up from daycare. I would get home, prepare the meals, sit the girls down at the table, and while they were sitting at the table eating, I would use that time to clean, do laundry, or whatever needed to be done before getting them ready for bed. One day that changed. I was in mommy mode, doing what I usually do, but this time, my youngest, my sweet baby, was about 3, maybe 4 years old, said something that changed the way we did dinner forever. The girls, as usual, were seated at the dinner table. I was about to start whatever task on my to-do list. I do not know why she said it, but she looked and said to me, "Mommy, sit down and eat with us." I was startled, surprised, and touched. I remember looking down at that sweet face and not wanting, to disappoint her. I joined them for dinner. It was the best decision. I sat down and had dinner with my children. And that may seem like a simple thing, and truthfully it was, but it changed me. Eating dinner with them that day was great. I thought about how we were at the table having dinner together like a family, because we were a family. I vowed from that day forward that we would have meals together, and not just dinner, but all meals, well, when feasible. We didn't always put the food on the table. Sometimes the girls would ask to have the food on the table, and then I obliged. They liked asking someone to pass them the peanuts. Of course, that was before they became teenagers. Life changes when they become teenagers. Now I have to ask them to make time to eat together. But they're good girls, and they make time. I can't say that I did my best to make sure that my children had memories of us having family meals. The good news is this trend extended to include my mother. When my children visited my mother, she made sure that she had some of the meals with the children. I tell people all the time, my children really had an impact on my life, more than just being their mother. They helped me become a better person. I don't know if or when the family meals stopped or slowed down when my children went back to South Carolina to visit mother, but I noticed that there was something missing. One day, when my daughters were in high school, I don't remember the year or the occasion, I just remember what happened. The girls and I were having dinner at Ted's Montana Grill. We were seated, and for some reason that day we were not really talking very much. And at a table near us, a large party was seated. And they were laughing, they were loud, but not in a disruptive way. So sitting across from me were both of my daughters, and they usually sit on the same side of the table. And I watched that large party through my oldest daughter's eyes. I was just staring at her. She was fixed on that large party, enjoying each other's company. In true form, I began to feel guilty that I couldn't give that to her. And she had this smile on her face while she people watched them. I'm a people watcher too, so. And I watched her watching them. And I knew. I just knew. It was a look I had when I saw families gathered. There were many times I sat alone while I attended games, plays, concerts, and other school-related events and activities. I would sit watching the family supporting their student, laughing, taking pictures before, during, and after the event as appropriate. Yeah, right. There were community events, meals at restaurants, anything really. Even when relatives attended these events to watch the girls, it was nothing like what we were witnessing at TED's or what I had seen at other events. Usually, the attending relative did not sit with me and the daughter who was not participating, or me if both were participating. I would mingle with the other parents if we were at a school or sports event. Sometimes I would engage with random strangers at community events. And I tried to keep that to a minimum because I didn't want to distract them from their family. And my circle has always been small, meaning it was usually just me and my girls. I did have a friend, platonic of course, that would support me from time to time. He was a good friend, and he had a very difficult childhood. So for some reason, he was really drawn to me and my girls. And he wanted to do what he could to provide support for the girls and to keep me from sitting alone. I mean, he did what he could, but usually it was just me. I remember when Meghan Markle's wedding pictures came out, and there was a picture of her mother sitting alone at the ceremony. And I saw this on social media, and I read some of the comments, and one that stuck out to me was a comment that said, "Life as a single parent." And there were other people talking about, how sad it was that she was a single parent, having to be at this her daughter's wedding alone. But whatever. Listen, I enjoyed all of my children's events. There were children that had no one attending their events. Now, that doesn't mean that I don't want to give my oldest daughter that experience that she saw at TED's. Now, I shared this TED story with a relative, and she was offended. I guess. I mean, she sounded offended. She wasn't happy. She didn't like the story. She said, "Well, we go out, we laugh." And she recalled a time when my children were visiting South Carolina, and the family went out to dinner, and my aunt tripped or fell or something to that effect. And everybody was laughing. Now, you and I know that is not what was going on at that table at TED's. And after some discussion with the relative agreed, in fact, she began to go further and talk about how unpleasant going out to dinner can be with the family. Now, I don't want you to get the wrong idea. My family loves to laugh. We're just not that family that will go to a restaurant together and just enjoy each other's company. We aren't the family that will have dinner together at someone's house. We aren't the family that can plan a fun event where everyone feels welcome. That's just not us. In fact, after the incident at TED's, I wanted to gauge how my family would feel if I brought something up, if I tried to plan something similar. So I talked to my aunt, who was my mother's sister, and then my grandmother about doing a Mother's Day brunch. And I wanted to do it at someone's house. Oh my gosh. When I tell you, it was like planning a corporate takeover. It was clear to me that this was not something either of them wanted. So I abandoned the idea. Now, we did have a graduation event for my oldest in 2019 in South Carolina, and that was a lot of fun. We played games. It took a lot of work to get my family engaged, though. I remember acting like a complete lunatic to get them engaged and laughing. I mean, I guess, we're just a low key family. I accept that. Now, while in college, my girls can have something similar with their friends. At least they're able to experience it, even if it's not with family. Now, of course, me, well, through the podcast, I do wish that I could get my family together, like that large party at Ted's. I mean, I know that sounds corny, but if I could do that for my daughter, and to look at her not watching someone else's family, but enjoying herself with her family. I'm all about pivoting. I may never get that on a large scale, but I do get that on a smaller scale. My girls and I enjoy life. Whether it's just the three of us or four of us, the fourth sometimes being my nephew. Usually, though, sometimes, it could be a friend of the girls. Oh, but you know what? My absolute favorite? Friendsgiving. Our first Friendsgiving was in 2018. And we sat at a table, all of us, in my home with my daughter's friends. I'll post a picture on the other side of 45's Instagram because that picture means a lot to me. Now, I didn't invite any of my friends. The reason is because most of my friends are parents, mothers, really. And during this time of the year, they are busy preparing Thanksgiving for their own families. And my girls don't agree, but they also have no idea how busy this time of year can be if you are the planner of holidays for your family. The cleaning, the shopping, the planning, the cooking, the baking, all the things it takes to coordinate a large holiday event. Now, I've only hosted 2 Friendsgiving. The first I already talked about, which was in 2018. Now, the second one happened in 2019. Okay, so we all know what happened in 2020, so that was not an option. And now, this year, in 2021, it's just not feasible. I mean, the girls are in college and their breaks did not start at the same time. So this is the week of Thanksgiving. This is Monday because my podcast usually posts on Monday or early Tuesday morning. So my youngest is here and her sister doesn't get home, won't leave her school, Tennessee State University, until Tuesday. So if we were going to have a Friendsgiving, it would typically be the Sunday before Thanksgiving or the couple of days leading up to Thanksgiving. But this year, the girls are going to South Carolina on the Tuesday before Thanksgiving. So you see, and they're not coming back until the Sunday after Thanksgiving. So like I said, Friendsgiving 2021, not feasible. Also, even if I could, I don't think I could pull that off. I don't think I could. Anyway, but maybe we can see about 2022. So I'll repeat. What are we doing this holiday? Like I said, the girls are going to be traveling to South Carolina. And me, I will be home alone. Listen, don't feel sorry for me. I have done so many holidays alone, and I'm okay with that. You're hearing it for the first time, but I've been doing this for years, and I'm okay with it. Now, the plan is that I will be working on creating content for my Vlogmas. A Vlogmas is a holiday event where YouTube creators post videos every day in December leading up to Christmas. Now, I'm not technically a YouTube creator, but come December 1st, I will be. I'm also going to work on some vegan dishes that the girls will like that maybe we can have for Christmas. I've been looking. I don't know if I'll find something, but I am going to work on a couple dishes, hopefully, on Thanksgiving. Oh, yeah. So December 1st, I will be a YouTuber. I wanted to repeat that because look at me taking chances. I started a list of ideas for Vlogmas. I always say that now. But I don't have 25 different ideas yet. You can send me some ideas if you want to. Okay, so I'm going to be doing that. I'll also work on my classwork for the digital marketing class that I'm taking. I am currently enrolled at eCornell digital marketing course. So I'm getting my certificate in digital marketing. So I have big plans for my life. And hopefully you'll be able to see changes to the other side of 45 social media and podcasts when I complete the certificate program. And after I complete this particular program, I'm planning on enrolling in 2 more programs. But I don't know where my life will take me, but I like the path I'm on. This path is exactly where I want and need to be. And it's like what the great Mary J. Blige says in the theme song of my life, just fine. I like what I see when I'm looking at me, when I'm walking past the mirror. Don't stress through the night, at a time in my life, ain't worried about if you feel it. Got my head on straight, I got my vibe right. I ain't gonna let you kill it. You see, I wouldn't change my life. My life's just fine. So meet me on the other side of 45's podcast, my blog, my YouTube, and Instagram. New episodes will be released every Monday. Have a happy Thanksgiving if you celebrate Thanksgiving. I personally do not, in solidarity with my Native American brothers and sisters. But if you do, enjoy your holiday.